Hey guys, what's up? Wanting to come in here, say hi to everybody. Thanks for coming out. Ring King 2019 is about to commence. We're going to get the show popping. Want to do a shout out to Alex for the sub and to Biohazard, who I think is Luke Marshall, for the follow. Awesome stuff, guys. So we're going to go ahead and go into the show. The opening of it's up, and we're going to see how this goes. Okay, Ring King promises to be a fun evening. So let's jump in and see how we're starting this show off. Okay. Nope, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Still getting used to this new layout here. Looks like we're going to kick off the show with Darby Sorrow and Dr. Wells. Segment entitled Red. So let's see what's going on. What's up, Chris? Welcome. All right, so this was recorded earlier. We start off with some crashes and bangs. The sounds of medical trays and utensils. I bet this is going to be the follow-up from the segment at the end of the last slaughterhouse. So we hear all medical trays and utensils being tossed around. We're in Dr. Wells' underground laboratory. Wells is cowering in the corner, watching as Sorrow searches for something. Ooh, he's getting a scalpel. As soon as the doctor sees it, he tries to make a run. But Darby is faster. He's got him by the throat, putting the scalpel up to his artery and says, "You're going to answer my questions. And if I don't like the answers, I'm going to redecorate your lab in a beautiful shade of red." I think he means blood. So Wells panics and Sorrow asks who ordered this. And of course, it was the butcher. Sorrow grimaces. His face turns redder with rage. Wells lets him know that he paid for the whole thing. It was funded by Begg, Berkshire, Ellis and Green to afford the experimental treatment. But he isn't who Dr. Wells is communicated with. So he gets a harder scalpel to the throat. But Wells says he doesn't know who it is. But they're here, they're watching. Darby asks if that's who summoned him on the intercom, and Wells, of course, nods. No one shows up, and he says, "Why are you doing this to me? Are they doing this to me?" He looks desperate, almost feral. Why? The doctor takes a gulp. It says there was once a group of experimental individuals who developed magic and spells. They were called the Red Skull Order. I dig that. And according to the texts that were recovered in 1923, Stephen Henstridge requested their help and joined their guild. Well, Darby's a little shocked at that. Stephen, of course, being Darby's former partner. I mean, I only say former because he's dead. Let's see. He did something that none of them could do. He fused the magic to a stone and placed it inside an object that became magical. Look comes over the gravedigger's face. He lets go of Wells, stepping back in a daze. That's why his love died. That's why Stephen sacrificed everything. The person behind the Red Skull Order wants that item and believes that in Darby's memories that he knows where it is. That's why he's put him through it. And he says, you don't understand, do you? That item could change the world. But Sorrow looks up at him with tears in his eyes. Hot start. We have a name now, the Red Skull Order. And Stephen had joined them to figure it out. And of course, Chris loves the comic book reference. So I think we're going to start off with a match coming out here. Ring King semifinals, Junkrat versus Seesaw. We're going to see who's going to the finals. The mayor of Gary, Junkrat, against the clown prince of the dark web, Seesaw. I dig it. Match starts hot. Junkrat charges in, leaps into the air with a missile drop kick. Seesaw goes into the turnbuckles and Junkrat whips him across the ring. Seesaw hits the opposite sets of the turnbuckles and gets a cannonball. But no, Seesaw dodges it. Junkrat hits the turnbuckles back first in full force. Junkrat slumps in the corner, folded like a chair, his legs hanging over his head. Seesaw's eyes almost literally light up, seeing how prone his opponent has become. The clown charges in. A running baseball slide into Junkrat's cranium from Seesaw. He practically just caved his head in like a melon. Good visualization. Seesaw makes the cover. 1, 2, and it doesn't get the 3. Junkrat is one tough son of a bitch. Seesaw pulls Junkrat up to his feet and whips him across the ring. Junkrat off the ropes, a big boot from Seesaw, but Sigil goes low. I don't think it's Sigil he's facing, with a diving shoulder into Seesaw's planted knee, and Mr. Make-Believe just cannot believe how much that one smarts. Junkrat wastes no time, rolls Seesaw onto his belly, puts him in the STF, the steel trap. Seesaw screams in agony. I lost my place. Reaching out towards the ring ropes, his long arms aren't enough to save himself. He's scraping and clawing. Junkrat has it locked in tight, but it's no use. He can't get there. Seesaw, is he going to tap out? He does! He does tap out! No, he doesn't. He was grabbing the bottom ring rope. It wasn't a tap out. And he screams with a chilling laugh. Junkrat releases the hold, and Seesaw kips up. Weird son of a bitch. Junkrat is stunned. Seesaw's buddy flushes with dopamine, as it tends to do. And now it's time for one hell of an ass-kicking circus. That's a hell of a line. Junkrat punches Seesaw in the jaw, but Seesaw, he's seesawing up. Another punch, another laugh. Junkrat bounces off. Clothesline doesn't even do anything. It even says hulking up. It's time for Seesaw's viewers to take their vitamins, play with their toys, and kill their parents. The superfine turbine blast from Seesaw, the gore and spine buster combo, leaves Junkrat splayed out. Seesaw's got the momentum. He's in his toy box. He's got a huge mallet. He brings it right down on Junkrat's head, but no, Junkrat moves out of the way. Seesaw tries again, but Junkrat moves. Either one of those shots may have killed the mayor of Gary. But Seesaw's surge begins to fade, and he gives up the mallet, picks up Junkrat. The sidewalk slam from Seesaw, but no, Junkrat reverses into the concussion mine. That one is weird to say. Tilt-a-whirl DDT puts Seesaw down. Junkrat's up on the top. He hits the riptire, the bowling ball style 450 splash, but Seesaw with the knees. Seesaw, the last of his energy. He's got him in the Stretch Armstrong. Junkrat has nowhere to go and no way to move. He taps. It's over, and you guys can't see it because I can't scroll down that far with the way I have it set up. But it's actually over. There's no more to go. Junkrat taps, Seesaw wins. Congratulations, Seesaw will go on to the finals. Gonna request some line breaks if possible. Okay, I think he put some in there. Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna move on to a segment entitled New Deal. Luke Marshall, Monty Straight. Takes place someplace else. The crowd of Luke Marshall's old followers are sitting in the dark. The bright lights come on, and on like magic, they're screaming because they're back at the show that never... But he gets cut off. Luke is choking Monty out, and he says, "What have you done to them? Why are they here?" But Monty squeaks out, "I told you." "Told me what?" Luke responds naturally. Monty says, "I told you that the gates of heaven were closed and they needed a place to go. Everyone who dies needs a new home with the gods out of the way. Those new followers of you, let's just say heaven isn't the only place with closed gates." Marshall says, "You're lying." Monty says, "I shoot it straight as anyone can. Tell me, when you shook your new follower's hand, did you notice anything off?" He says, "They were cold." "Exactly. All the dead needs places to go," Monty replies. "It's an old studio audience is who it is, and quite frankly, They wanted to see something else. The old congregation will eventually do the same. So you trade the living for the dead? Marshall replies. And of course Straight says, you can say that, or you can say I traded dead bodies for dead minds. Their minds weren't dead, though. They were sparked by the word that is always living. Spoken like a true cult leader. Tomato, Straight replies. Now they're sparked by a show that never ends. But Luke is pissed. He says he wants them back. They belong where he promised. If they can't have Evan, he'll give them the best thing he can on Earth. So Monty proposes a new deal. If he beats him, he can have them back the way they were. The old deal will be void. But if Monty beats Marshall, the old congregation will go to a place where boredom doesn't exist, but neither does joy. Marshall replies, I thought you said the other gates were closed. But Monty didn't say which ones. And if it is, he has his ways. Monty's got a set of keys. Luke jumps him, or tries to. Monty snaps. Luke turns to smoke. He falls on the ground in front of his church podium with a note in his hand, reading Ephesians 4:26-27. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. The sun is setting. Too late, is what Marshall says as he storms to the slaughterhouse. All right. I'm going to visit Banzan and Mr. Green in a segment entitled Ash and Dust. Previously recorded. Just as he'd been given the tickets, Banzan has made the long flight to the Tiger's Nest. As we saw several weeks ago, Beg bought the sacred land, and now the OSW World Champion is here to see exactly what's been done to the place where he grew up and began his journey to enlightenment. The indestructible mountain is not shocked by what he sees, but he does seem unsettled. The Tiger's Nest still stands. Beg didn't tear it down. Despite all the machinery, he didn't do it. All the monks roaming around give him a side eye as he walks over to the famous water prayer wheel. But an ornate golden stand has been erected in front of it with a screen that flashes to life. Surprised? Beg mocks. Did you think it'd be all gone? But Banzan doesn't respond. All he says is, your reputation suggested I would find only ash and dust. But Beg chuckles and he says, you're damn right it does. Banzan thinks he's impulsive and he's right. But Beg would rather own a piece of your heritage and keep it under his foot than crumble it down. Piss you off, turn your big ass into a wrecking ball. The Tiger's Nest stays open, with a tribute paid to Beg, of course, as he had only one condition, and that was for his big bald ass to be banned from ever stepping foot there again. So Banzan just traveled across the world days before the big match, and it was all so he could turn straight around and come right back. Banzan asks, do you believe you've won then? Is your quest for gold worth this much now? Beg says, it's not just any gold I'm after your gold. That's who I am. I obtain the unobtainable. I trick the untrickable. And you're about to walk your happy self back into my slaughterhouse to bring me my world championship. Who's the fool now, Banzan? And Beg is gone. Some of the monks come up beside him and says, I'm sorry, it's time for you to leave and never return. Banzan walks away and says, those who learn nothing must be cast into nothingness, as he heads for Hell's Kitchen. All right. Beg, all of the taunting, the verbal taunting, it ends tonight. And Banzan will never return to the Tiger's Nest. It's going down for the World Championship later on. What do we got next? Let's see. Okay. Looks like we've got some attempted line breaks. That's all right, though. We'll figure it out. Luke Storm versus Sigil. Ring King semifinals. Will Dawson knock me out of Ring King for the second time? Let's find out. The sound of the bell is followed immediately by Storm and Sigil trading rights and lefts, the promise of one step towards the crown motivating him. Sigil gets the upper hand, sending Storm to the nearest corner. Storm's getting his ass kicked a little bit, but he slips out of the Realm Walker's reach. Sigil turns around. Storm greets him with an uppercut. Sigil falls back. Storm goes in. Hard kicks to the head of the Sigil, but he blocks the last one. He goes for his satchel, but Storm kicks it away. He won't let... Why did I just lose where I was? He won't let Sigil's loot play into the proceedings. Sigil charges in and hits the cosmic leap. He disappears and he pounces on Storm from behind with a chop to the head. Storm is down. He goes for the cover. It only gets a 2. Storm still's got some fight left in him. Sigil goes back to the satchel. He's got a steel spike on a chain. Hell yeah. He tries to swing it at Storm, but Storm catches him. Lightning strike, the super kick. There's one. Spike falls to the canvas, as does Sigil. Storm makes a cover, but it does barely even gets a 2 count. The Realm Walker gets hit with a flurry of offense, but he turns things around with a heavy right hand. It sends Storm to the corner once more. For the collection, Storm is tearing into him, or Sigil is tearing into Storm with the claw-like strikes. There's too many S people in this match. Storm's hurt bad from that, stepping away from the corner. Sigil charges at him. The cosmic leap. Sigil with the roundhouse kick. Finite. Storm is down. Sigil goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. But no, it's not over. Storm barely kicked out. Sigil turns his attention to the steel spike. He knows what he has to do. He picks the spike up by its chain. Storm is to his feet. He throws the spike at Storm, but he misses him. Sigil charges in. He uses the distraction to catch Sigil off guard. He hits the downpour, the code breaker. He goes for the cover. Is it? 1, 2, 3. It is it. Luke Storm goes to the finals of Ring King to face his nemesis Seesaw. Yeah. All right, let's keep on trucking to a segment with Junkrat and Sigil entitled The Scripture. Thanks, guys. So last Tuesday, in a plane of existence very few have ever visited, floats a massive citadel. And there's a group there known as The Scripture, collectors of information across all planes of existence. Led by a shadow unit known as the 12. To see them means you've been recruited to their group of collectors. To see them twice, you've messed up something really bad. You've gone against your vows. You've went rogue, or even altered reality. This is Sigil's 5th visit to see the 12. He sits at the table as they address him. Red-cloaked, faceless figures. Red. They're red. I wonder if they're tied into the Red Skull thing. Sigil's remarkably different from them with his mask, his physique, and his posture. Number 4 says, do you not see what you've done? 7 states, until you used Junkrat to help you obtain the replicator, there were no space rats in existence. And 2 scolds him and says, you need to clean up your mess. Sigil is, of course, unimpressed, silent, but the most ancient of the collectors, known as 1, speaks up. You know not what you've done, Sigil. We need you to go back, obtain the replicator, and destroy the space rats. Sigil looks around the room and chuckles. Says, you all have played me for a fool time and time again, and I almost fell for it this time. Sorry. He says, I went your way after my so-called mistake. I eliminated the space rats. I killed the 99 clone Junkrats and left him by his lonesome. Yet what did I see? An entire fleet of space rats arrive at his doorstep. And, 1 says, Sigil responds, it became apparent that your meddling in my collection has gone too far. I realize that what you call a mistake, I call a blessing. And 1 snorts, what do you mean a blessing? The space rats will be arriving to this plane of existence any moment to begin a war. I love wars. A war in which they will win. But 1 replies, utter nonsense. Sigil has grown tired of their tyranny. They were sworn to collect, nothing more. But they attempt to influence all the planes of existence, and that is not your place. Sigil stands to his feet and says, so I left my portal gun outside of Gary where I knew they would find it, where I knew they would find you. And now all of the planes will no longer be manipulated by the 12. Sigil Cosmic leaps out as we go to the SSR Will 135. Willies. Sigil appears. Captain Space Rat smiles. Hello there, Ancient Collector. Sigil looks out the... I'm not going to use the voice for them anymore, I don't think. Sigil looks out the spacecraft window. The entire fleet has got the Citadel surrounded. And he says, for this, I'll get one final match, just to settle the score. Space Rat nods. He's agreed. Well then, blast their asses out of existence. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what they plan to do. There's going to be a war. The Space Rats are going after him. All right, we're going to Tranquility Lane first. Seesaw and Kenny Freeman. 2 days prior, the sound of a warm beverage being poured pulls us into the scene. It's tea being poured into a cup from a rather antique-looking teapot, one that looked to be a functional toy at one point in time. There, Kenny. You need to stay nice and hydrated if you're to keep your energy up. After all, we still have so much playtime left. He's so creepy. The sickly sweet voice of Seesaw fills the air, sticking to your ears like cotton candy, each little word hanging in the air as he says it. Seesaw is rather stern. He has an almost disappointed expression. He holds the teacup up to Kenny Freeman. They're having a tea party. The keyboard warrior who sits across from him, tied up on a plastic chair decorated with pictures of clowns. He's terrified with his mouth taped shut. But Seesaw says, silly, you can't drink tea like that. Seesaw rips the tape off of Kenny's mouth, forcing the scalding hot tea into his mouth, shutting up Kenny's attempt to speak. But the tea covers his chest, it burns his skin. He finally chokes out some words. He did what he asked. He promoted Seesaw. He lost his followers because of it. But Seesaw got the views and followers. Why isn't he happy? Seesaw clicks his tongue, drinks from his own teacup, and says that's why he called the business meeting. He has views, he has followers, but Kenny isn't committing to the cause. He's decided that he's being put in timeout for now. No Ring King, no match. You must learn to enjoy toys like I do, and so you will stay here in Tranquility Lane until further notice. Excuse me. The camera pans out to reveal the massive toy room, the one that appears in all of Seesaw's videos. He chuckles watching Kenny begin to panic as Seesaw reapplies the duct tape to his mouth. Now sit back and enjoy your welcome to my happy little neighborhood. He's got a TV. It's Seesaw's TV show, episode 1. And he says, I'll see you after Ring King, friend. Please watch my show while you wait. I'm sure you'll learn to love it. The scene fades out as Kenny panics. Once more, Seesaw leaving him behind. Oh no! Poor Kenny dang Freeman. He's just a kid, man. He's just a kid. Alright, are we gonna see the battle between Luke Marshall and Monty Straight? Luke wants his congregation back, and Monty is doing what Monty does. Luke goes straight after Monty. He's pissed. He's hammering with some massive rights. But Monty shoves him off and rolls out of the ring. Luke's right after him. Monty sprints back into the ring, and Luke, for some reason, follows him, the oldest trick in the wrestling book. He gets nailed by Monty as he gets in. The V-trigger! But it only gets a 2 count. Furious kick out by Marshall. Monty starts stomping in, but Luke catches his foot. He's standing up with Monty's foot in his hands. He levels Monty with a lariat and then waves to someone in the crowd. What's going on? It's one of Luke's new congregation members. They've got a bucket of stones, and Luke shouts, let he who does not sin cast the first stone. And they're stoning him. Luke and his new follower are pelting Monty with stones. Monty is waving someone in himself. It's Luke's sister, Pam the treasurer, who was shot, or Pammy. Luke is confused. He's questioning her with tears in his eyes. He said, I thought you avoided this wretched show. But she shakes her head. There's nowhere else to go, Luke. And while they're talking, Monty gets rid of Luke's follower, pours the bucket of stones out. Luke, shaking her head, that can't be true, it can't be true. Monty comes up behind Luke, turns him around, nails the commercial break. This program is brought to you by Crown Royal, as this emerald flosion is on the rocks. Monty makes the cover. 1, 2, is this it? 3, no, it's not. Pam breaks it up. Blood is stronger than Monty's spell on his audience. Pam is wailing at Monty with the bucket. He catches it, rips it out of her hands. He tosses it at Luke, who's still on the ground, and gets in Pam's face. Audience members are not supposed to ad-lib, Miss Pamela. You know that, right? Pam nods, and Luke charges at Monty, trying to protect his sister. But Monty throws Luke into Pam. Monty grabs him into a powerbomb position. Zonk! He turns it into a pile driver on the stones. 1, 2, 3. Monty has done it. What will happen to Luke's old congregation? Monty stands over Luke and says, look at it this way. At least Pam might find someplace better than where the rest are going. He heads towards the old congregation to tell them their new place in the afterlife. That was an entertaining match. What's next? Alton Whitlock and Luke Storm, entitled Enough. The glitz, the glamour, snapping cameras, paparazzi. They're all there to see Luke Storm. He's at a lectern, sunglasses over his eyes, his smile on his face. If Whitlock wants to play this war through the media, why not him too? He says, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. Over the past few weeks, rumors have been spread about me. Accusations have been made. Let it be known that these accusations are baseless and false, fabricated merely to keep me down. For what reason? I'm not sure, but liars will be found out, and I know I have truth on my side. I intend to prove to everybody through a fair contest later tonight that I am not who Alton Whitlock claims I am. By the end of the night, in that ring, I will have done enough to convince you of that. But a voice pierces through the crowd. It's Alton Whitlock. He says, then you wouldn't mind a wee test, would you? The candidate steps up to where Storm stands. I'm really not good with S sounds today. The change in Storm's demeanor is instant. The smile replaced with a scowl. One can sense his glare piercing through the sunglasses. And Alton's got a specimen cup. And he says, if you truly are who you say you are, you wouldn't mind undertaking a drug test on my instruction. Show these people who you truly are. Whitlock grins. Storm is not happy. He says, you think you're going to order me to piss in a cup for you? To lower myself simply because you say so? I'm not on drugs. I don't need a damn test to say so. Bad move, Luke. Come on, buddy. He swats the container out of Whitlock's hands and rips the sunglasses off his face. A glare. Then storms off. In the buzz of the media's response and flurry, we almost miss what happens next, but we're not going to. Berkshire Ellison Green approaches Alton Whitlock as he leaves the slope, or the stage. I don't know where slope came from. Oh, shit. Whitlock sees him approach, and he says, I've done everything you asked in going after Storm. Surely I have done enough. And Begg says, we will see. We will see. Begg is behind it. Begg is going after Storm. Clark, I'm coming for you. Ooh, I know what this is. I believe this, my friends, is the reveal of the new show name. Are you all ready to see it? I know I'm pretty hype about it. Let's see some hype. Who wants to see it? I don't know what my delay is on here. All right, let's see it. Monday Night Nitro coming season 2. Yeah. Now that is hype. That logo is badass. This is where it's at for this WCW fan. Nitro. I dig it. Suck it, Ted Turner. That's right. All right, Nitro. Let's keep going. What's up? It's the judge. It's Scrimshaw. They're gonna fight. They're in the cave for the showdown. Both men are in the cave, eyeing each other. Scrimshaw looking bigger than his frame would suggest in this dark place. Judge drops his axe, the blade slicing into the ground as he goes at the salty sea dog. Scrimshaw catches Judge and sprawls out, trying to keep the bigger man from taking any form of control. Scrimshaw drives his knees into the helmeted head of the judge, who throws him off. He growls. He grabs a stalagmite and uses it like a baseball bat, shattering it over the frame of the judge. Scrimshaw's got the point. He's trying to impale the judge's head, but the judge stops it. Both men try to get control of the stalagmite. The judge sees the opening to kick at the ribs. He monkey flips the sea dog into a wall. Scrimshaw hits the ground with a thud, his eyes still filled with rage, when he's met by a boot from the judge, who grabs his own stalagmite. Man, there's a lot of stalagmites in this match, and slams it across the back of the sea dog, who howls. Dog howls, I get it. Again and again. 4 times the judge brings the rock formation down across the spine of Scrimshaw. Judge throws it to the side before grabbing the old sea dog by the head and lifting him to the feet with the verdict, but no! Scrimshaw catches the Spartan kick. He whips him around, slams his arm into the knee of the judge with the sea serpent strike. The force of the dragon screw leg whip drives. Hey, Matt, subscribe. Thank you. I was curious if the sounds were going to play. Awesome. Thanks for the sub. The cave rattles at the impact. Scrimshaw's got brass knucks. He beats on the head and body of the judge, making sure the knuckles dig deep with every blow. Scrimshaw picks the man of order up, throws him headfirst into the wall of the cave. Rocks chip away. Judge slides down. Scrimshaw walks in to grab the judge once again. But the judge has got the head of the sea dog, and he bites down. Blood begins to spill out from the wound when Judge hits a cutter. Your past may bite you. Judge looks around for the most appropriate spot to finish this. He grabs Scrimshaw. He lifts the smaller sea captain onto his shoulders, slamming him down with the restoration. The powerbomb rocks the cave as the sea dog lays unconscious on the ground, defeated. Judgment has been passed. The judge can return the ill-gotten gains and receive the admittance to the sea captain's wrongdoings. Have a good one, Matt. Enjoy your night. All right, so we're going to continue on with the Judge and Scrimshaw in a segment entitled The Pack. The match is over. They're both exhausted, but the Judge has been victorious. The armored figure walks towards the door he'd been promised access to should he win. Scrimshaw, who's a man of his word, stands back, snarling his teeth as he tries his best to stand the fight, having taken everything out of him. You tried your best, Scrimshaw, but in the end... He looks back, hands on the door handles, clenching them tight. Cast in the name of your lord, ye guilty. The door is flung open, riches aplenty, money from many countries, and decades, weaponry, jewelry, but the judge cares for none of it. All he wants is what's in the center of the room, the obsidian sphere. He walks towards the massive piece of stone, picking it up and looking down. Do you know the purpose of this item, Scrimshaw? The captain stands and rolls his eyes and says, not a clue. Me and my pack of sailors were told to go grab it by the serpent, but none of us ever knew why. The judge just nods. Says, good, I was certain you were clueless to the reason for obtaining it, but do not worry, I am not taking anything else. Only this. That surprises the Bloodfang as the judge vanishes with the sphere. Scrimshaw examines the room for a moment when an intense pain makes him grab his head, looking as though his head may well explode. Completely enthralled by a voice we cannot hear. Then as fast as it came, it went. And Scrimshaw stood up, nodding his head. So be it, serpent. I will call the pack. He's calling the pack. Is it the wolf pack? Funnily enough, weird wolf pack story. I did DoorDash the other day, and they delivered the food. The lady that delivered the food was wearing a nice red and black NWO shirt. And I was like, that's really interesting in 2019. But the Wolfpack is back. They're causing mass destruction. The bad boys are wrestling. Anyway, moving down to talk about Lockdown. Beg versus Darby Sorrow. Lockdown next week. Lockdown is coming up. That's a big-ass match. We're going to see what'll happen. All right, what's up next? It's Mez versus X. At the last slaughterhouse, X told Mez that if he wanted his arm and his eye to meet him at Ring King. Well, it's Ring King, and Mez is here. He's got his screwdriver. Will he get the arm? Mez marches in, but X kicks the screwdriver away. He Sparta kicks him into the turnbuckle and charges in with a running knee strike. He doesn't stop there. He throws forearm after forearm. Mez just takes every shot. He absorbs it. Mez points at the arm. X gets the hint. He goes for a haymaker, but Mez dodges it. The turnbuckle stuffing's pouring out. He punctured it. X rips the pad off, but Mez goes for the eye. Mez shoves X into the exposed turnbuckle. Anarchy! He hits that Fez press. He's headbutting the steel arm. Mez, that son of a bitch, is dominating X, but the arm is withstanding the damage better than a tank could. Mez changes his strategy, headbutting the normal arm. X winces with every shot, but he goes for the throat with the steel hand. The Tongan death grip. Hell yeah. Mez is trying to punch at the arm, but no use. He points to his head and pulls out another screwdriver. Classic heel move. He's unscrewing a screw on the wrist. It loosens the grip. Yeah. X lets go and both men are back on their feet. Mez chops X's chest hard. X responds with a chop of his own. Mez ducks it. The metal wrist meets the helmet, and the screw pulls off. The wrist is limp. Mez grabs the wrist and pulls. X doesn't let it happen. He uses his strength to Irish whip Mez. He throws him, but Mez pulls hard enough and wires are exposed. Mez bounces off the ropes, and X takes him down with a drop kick to the knees. X realizes he needs to finish this soon, or his arm might be forever changed. He's desperate. He's on Mez from behind, choking him out. Mission complete. He's got the vet benefits. He's got the rear naked choke locked in, but he can't get his normal grip. He's using the wires of his arm to choke Mez out. Mez is fighting, but no one has ever been able to get out of this. And he won't be the first. He passes out. X has done it. The Slaughterhouse champ defeats the TKO champ. Holla. Have to take a trip to the VA. And Take Some More follows it up. The match is over. X is rolled from the ring, grasping at the shoulder joint of his bionic arm. Mr. Johnson gestures to the orderlies, who sedate Mez, securing him in his straitjacket. He kneels before Mr. Johnson, who is disapproving gaze. Bam! Johnson kicks him in the face. Wow. Mez topples to one side, struggling to turn himself. Curb stomp! Mr. Johnson with the curb stomp? Mez crumples against the mat. Johnson and the orderlies start to kick and stomp at Mez, who barely flinches. A gentle stroll along the beach, her hand in mine. I can feel how soft her pale skin is against my rough palm, how gentle her touch is as her thumb strokes my own. And I look at her, her beautiful, bright red hair blowing in the breeze. And she in turn looks at me, her beautiful blue eyes melting my heart. I miss her so much. So I know this isn't what's going to happen, but just seeing red hair, if this is some deep-cut Stephanie Rose thing, that'd be amazing. Whoever's writing this needs to make it Stephanie... Wait a second. I think I might be writing Mez next. Coming at you. Anyway, Monty Straight and the Junkrat up next. And it's called That's Good Television. The show that never stops. Man, that studio audience gets hype. They're cheering with unrivaled approval for Monty Straight, whose eye twinkles with delight and excitement for what's to come. Welcome back to the show that never stops, where the fun keeps going and temptations are unknowing. I'm Monty Straight, and that's exactly how I shoot it. "Simmer down, folks," he says to a roaring crowd. "The next contestant is the newly elected mayor of Gary, Indiana, Junkrat, and he's confused, but he's always confused." Monty asks, "Are you familiar with the rules?" Junkrat is, of course. Whichever door he kicks open, he wins the prize. He chooses door number 7. Monty says, "There's only 2 doors. Only 2 doors." "Why not 7 doors?" Junkrat asks. Of course, because it's not how the game works. Junkrat wants to... He's the one playing the game, so doesn't he get to decide the rules? That... Monty doesn't know how to deal with Junkrat. He says every game in the world works like that. Not Willy Biters. Monty says, "On this stage, Junkrat, are 2 doors. Behind door number 1 is everything you want. Therefore, if you step through that door, Gary, Indiana, the fair town of which you are mayor, will become a bustling metropolis. Hundreds of thousands of citizens living in peace and prosperity. And get this, every one of them will be Junkrats just like him." Monty continues, "Yet behind door number 2 is everything I know your heart desires. You will no longer be the mayor of your fair city, but you will be the dictator." Junkrat stops him. He says he is not, nor will he ever be, a dictator. What are taters, precious? But Monty has to explain. A dictator is someone who rules the entirety of his land, like a king. You would be the king of your own planet. In fact, the very planet you once referred to as paradise, the place you found the replicator with Sigil. Monty asks, "So Junkrat, what will it be?" Junkrat looks at both doors, but he pulls out the portal gun that Sigil once wielded and says, "Fuck your doors. I wanted door number 7, but you don't have that. So you can take your doors, your show, your studio audience, and shove them up your arsehole, mate." Junkrat opens a portal and leaves. Monty straight is baffled. And Junkrat pops back through and says, "On second thought, I have a big bopper left." Monty screams no as Junkrat drops the bomb. And he steps back through the portal. Ba-boom! He blew it up. Hang on. Okay. What a hell of a segment. That's amazing. And what's up, Pro Wrestle? All right, let's go down here and see some fighting. Red Wing versus Veritas. Veritas. I'm probably botching a lot of these names. But yeah, Clark, that shit was hilarious. That Junkrat, Monty Straight. Those are 2 characters who have a lot of potential. Anyway, Red Wing versus Veritas. Red Wing's pissed as he stands across the ring from the stoic, sneaky Veritas in what's become a grudge match. Who will win, and what will the file that Veritas has contain? Veritas. I don't like that one. I don't like that one, Joe. Veritas and Red Wing circle each other. They're 2 starving hyenas who see each other as prey. They circle each other for a few rounds until Red Wing stops, and a small, deranged little giggle escapes his lips. "Come on, hit me with the truth." Veritas tilts his head. Red Wing holds his arms wide open, Creed style. Veritas charges. Right, left, left. Spin kick combo from the Freedom Fighter, dropping Red Wing to the ground. But Red Wing with a bone-chilling laugh. It infuriates Veritas. He kicks him across his damn mouth. Red Wing's laughter grows. He clutches his mask and rips at it like he wants to pull it off, like it's skin he no longer desires to wear. Veritas lifts him up, but Red Wing falls to a knee. A low blow. Oh, he's breaking all the rules. Batman wouldn't do that. He tosses Veritas out of the ring. Red Wing wastes 0 time. He rips the steel ring steps out of the position. He carries them, over his head and throws them on top of Veritas' body. He leaps with a big splash, crushing Veritas between the steel steps. Red Wing rolls off the steps into the floor. He's maniacal. And he says, I think that I just might murder you. All that laughter, it reveals itself for what it is, derangement. Unadulterated rage. He lifts the steel steps off of Veritas's body and hoists them over his head and smashes it down. But Veritas rolls out of the way. He kips up, drop kicks Red Wing, sends him into the guardrail. Veritas tries to get him in the ring. They reach their feet at the same time once they're there. Red Wing tries to take off his mask. What's going on with him? Veritas doesn't wait. Truth and reconciliation, the throat strike, the roaring elbow. And then he follows it up with seeing is believing, gouging Red Wing's eyes. And Red Wing is forced to tap out. Veritas gets the huge, albeit really strange, victory over Red Wing. The need to find out who murdered his family has pushed him this far. Now will he get to see the file? Veritas breathes heavily in the corner as the young man we've come to know as Chase runs down and slides a folder into the ring. Veritas exits the ring. Red Wing picks up the folder. And Veritas says, there's the file, and inside of it is the most important truth you need to know. It contains merely 3 pages. Each page has but one word on it. The first says, fuck. The second, you. The third, Red Wing. If you didn't realize, that spells out, fuck you, Red Wing. Red Wing is pissed. Veritas has trolled him. Red Wing, his eyes burn with an unmitigated fury. He looks up at the entrance ramp, but Chase and Veritas are gone. Red Wing roars with anger, pacing around like a lunatic. In the front row, he spots a man laughing particularly hard at the troll. Red Wing approaches the fan, the drunk fan, and Red Wing says, you think that's funny? The fan shrugs and says, you deserve it, bitch. Man, nobody likes Red Wing. Red Wing grabs him with a headbutt. 2, 3. He throws him into the ringside area. He's lost his mind. He boots him into oblivion. The fans boo with disapproval. Red Wing looks around. Suddenly, he runs up the entrance ramp, leaving the fan behind, and maybe leaving his status as a hero behind as well. Man, Red Wing's gone. Ooh, the Butcher. The Butcher. The Butcher and Mez in a segment entitled Protection. The sound of a phone ringing inside an old office carries a slight echo, but there's no polite greeting when accepting the call. It is done. Is it done? Growls the voice on the end of the receiver. It's the Butcher. And he says, what do you mean he knows? He must be talking to Dr. Wells. Butcher says, understood, I'm going to need a certain level of protection. Just as the door knocks and Mez walks in, being led by his warden. He says, I'll call you right back. The Butcher hangs up the phone, turning his attention to those, now rudely, inside of his office. Though don't be mistaken, he won't be arguing with Mez anytime soon. The warden says, Butcher, I have a request. An increase in salary for my competitor. Now that he rules the roost as TKO champion, I'm inclined to believe that comes with a pay bump, does it not? The chairman thinks it over and says, perhaps we can help each other out. I need protection for a couple weeks or so until I figure out something more permanent. I have an idea and you may have just approached me at the right time. Why don't you take a seat? Okay. Mez protecting the Butcher. All right, Black Veil versus Mark Guldern. Guldern. I'm just going to say Guldern. In a singles match, the Battle of Wits has taken place the past month between Black Veil and her smear campaign target, Mark Guldern, who will take the final round, the veiled revolutionary of the technocratic CEO. Black Veil charges Guldern, who sneers before his Talaris smoothly guides him out of the way of the abominable bride's dropkick attempt. He begins laying boot after teleboot to Black Veil's midsection. Golden drags her up by the hair and lifts her to his feet, drops her right back to the ground with a double underhook DDT. He only gets a 2 count off of it, though. The referee gets lifted into the air. His eyes turn purple. Black Veil is using him like a puppet. And just as suddenly, nearly a dozen women in veils charge the ring. The steel chairs they were sitting in brought with them. They just start beating the living shit out of the Herald of the Future right then and there. Crack, crack, crack! Each chair shot causes Golden to writhe around on the mat. He can't defend himself from the onslaught. But suddenly, Golden doesn't need to defend himself. The Teleris begins working overtime. He leaps to his feet and you'd swear it was the Matrix. He's the one Neo. He fluidly sidesteps, ducks, and dodges every steel chair swing. He sends an elbow to one of their mouths, rips the chair out of the hand. Right on her head. Another sister's head. But Black Veil with a shot to the cranium of the CEO. The ref's back on the mat. Golden falls. The sister clears out. Black Veil makes the cover. 1, 2, is this it? 3. Black Veil has done it, but no, she hasn't. Golden's teleboot dangles over the nearest bottom rope. Black Veil gets up like she's PMSing and is out of coffee. She yells at the referee, accusing him of showing favor to his fellow man and using an improperly slow count. But Golden is on his feet. He spins her around and grabs her head. Planned obsolescence, great finisher name. From Golden, the elevated DDT. He sizes her up as she climbs up. She's on her knees, then on her hands. The disruption, the Telegaunt Superman punch, knocks her lights out. Golden with the cover. 1, 2. That one is it. Mark Golden wins. He picks up the huge victory over his nemesis. What a match. And we're going to continue with these two. Entitled Why? After a grueling match, Mark Golden and Black Veil rise in the ring. Mark says, there's one thing I just can't figure out. Why? Why did you target me out of every company in the world? Why mine? Black Veil says, you think me a villain because you cannot understand compassion. Too myopic to understand anything but your own point of view, your own goals. Women like Emily know that better than anyone. Golden says, Emily betrayed me for her own gain, but you, what did you have to gain? Nothing to gain but the benefit of my sisters in the struggle. Not that you could ever understand an idea like that, and nothing to lose in a world that hates me and my sisterhood. Mark says, you think Telegon is the only company you'll find discrimination of? Or at? No, but not many have a man like you that could stop it so easily if he wanted to. But Mark says it benefits the bottom line. Human nature. He can't control it. A poor excuse, she replies. You wanted to change the world, to see it evolve. Start with yourself. But Mark says she's not innocent either. There's still blood on her hands. What's one life against the suffering of billions? She says, now the world is watching you more closely, Mark. The world is skeptical. No one trusts you. They know you're a liar. You won't get away with treating women in your employ, anyone in your employ, like that again. Your revolution failed, Mark responds. Has it? Black Veil asked as she's smiling beneath the mask. Overcome by fury, Mark swings his gauntleted fist at her, but she snaps her fingers and is gone. Okay. Oh, another lockdown match. Luke Storm versus Junkrat, only on Lockdown next week. I have no idea what I'm going to do with that one, but we'll see. Should be a big one. All right, we've got a match for the House Rules Championship. Alton Whitlock versus Luke Storm. All right, match number 3 on the evening for me. Let's see what we got. Luke Storm's second bout of the night. The House Rules Championship is on the line. They're in the meat locker. They simply charge at one another, but the inexperienced Whitlock is no match technique-wise for a man who's made a career in fighting like Storm. Storm shoots in, single leg takedown. Storm mounts Whitlock and begins nailing him in the face with rights and lefts. A flurry of blows, a physically perfect storm of violence. But despite Alton's experience, he knows it's a bad start. He rakes Storm's eyes. A headbutt. Storm falls off of his mount, and Alton scrambles to his feet. Storm kips up, goes for the lightning strike, but Whitlock dodges, connects with a hanging meat carcass instead. Whitlock with a full Nelson into the release butterfly suplex, sending Storm into the locked freezer door. Storm is in a heap of trouble as he lays in a heap on the floor. The candidate moves in and lifts Storm to his feet. The release belly to belly, but Storm grabs onto another hanging meat carcass as he soars through the locker and stops his fall. Alton turns around, lightning strike connects. Luke grabs Alton by the hair and drags him to an empty meat hook. Luke has the hook entering Alton's flesh. He's hooked him in. Alton flails and screams, and the flailing sends his foot right into Storm's bolt bag. Winner. That's awesome. Luke hunches over, clutching his groin. Whitlock frees himself before Storm gets the chance to suspend him. Whitlock knocks him to the ground with an elbow to the back of the head. He sends a few stomps into the small of Storm's back for good measure. He lifts him up. He's hooked his arms, goes for the vertebreaker, but Storm kicks his feet and flips out of it. He's got Whitlock's back. The downpour, the code breaker. He nails it. Luke grabs him by the hair. He's got him on a meat hook. He's pierced his bloody back. He pulls the chain. Whitlock hangs in the air. Storm wins and is still the House Rules champion. Hell yeah. Now he's got to fight the damn seesaw later on. What's next? Mark Goldern and X. Holla. At a warehouse. Who lives there with a single bedroll, tasteless food, and nothing but a filing cabinet on the wall? It's X, of course. He's pouring himself into the file in front of him. Most of the file has been redacted, blacked out, except for one name, Goldern. His eyes light up when a condescending voice interrupts him. I see you finally made some progress without me, haven't you? X turns around to face Mark Goldern. He says, I was built to study my targets, and I see you know more than you let on. Goldern chuckles, pitying X. Says, you don't understand. I know so much, and offered so much a few months ago because I wanted to test your abilities. After all, you were my greatest failure. Ooh. The normally stony face of X almost drops, some humanity behind his eye as he looks on. Says, you don't remember much, do you? Whitlock's match with us? He was so convincing, and yet you felt compelled to help me instead? X is incredulous as Goldern walks towards him. A lot to take in. Turns out you're still too human when not in combat. You still need some tests run on you to see where I went wrong in your design. X leads at Goldern with the intent not to kill but to brutalize. But X, the enraged cyborg, collapsed lifelessly to the ground. Standing above him is Goldern, having pressed the button on his gauntlet, and he says power down. We'll test out combat capabilities later. As for now, his people rush in. They dismantle his living space. They take X. They burn his research. Goldern, the son of a bitch, is the one who designed X. Damn it. It's going down. Speaking of Goldern, he's going to be facing Monty Straight, only on lockdown. Huge revelation that Goldern designed X. Hell yeah. I dig it. What's next? This is it. Banzan versus Beg. World Championship match. All right, who's going to be the champ? As materialism meets Eastern spirituality, the indestructible mountain, the OSW champion, Banzan once again meets the financial mogul Beg. But this time it's for all the cookies in the cookie jar. Will we see a new champion crowned, or will the mountain prove indestructible once more? All right. Looking forward to this one. Green starts in with a flurry of venom and fire. He takes the fight straight to Banzan with an elbow. The elbow is followed by a palm strike that hits the mountain in the chest. opening up a small gap between the fighters. Uppercut from Beg rocks Banzan. The inverted Russian leg sweep. The mountain crumbles. Beg scales the down mountain. Banzan stands up while Beg is on his back. He looks for a backpack stunner, but Beg goes to the eyes. He steers him towards a turnbuckle, pushes him off his back. Beg climbs the mountain and locks in the octopus hold. You can see the pain on Banzan's face. Beg's wearing him down. It could spell the end, but kablam! Banzan swings him around and destroys him with a beautiful, brutal. I don't actually know how to say that name. Uranage? Uranagi? Yeah, I think it's Uranagi, actually. He just put Beg through the floor. Banzan lies flat on his back, his mighty bosom heaving. As he recovers from Beg's fast start, Beg lies next to him, beginning to stir ever so slightly. Banzan goes to the Koji clutch, locked in the center of the ring. Beg's eyes are going to pop out of his head. Goldrin has the medicine for that. But Beg, slippery as he is, weasels his way out, elbows to the knee. Before Banzan knows it, Beg is on him, targeting the tenderized knee. His Koji clutch had soon become a half crab from Beg. The single leg focus allows Beg to apply maximum force. The champion, in the clutches of Beg, the submission expert, has all the answers. But there is no tap out. Banzan pushes Beg away. But has the damage been done? So, Uranagi was right. All right. Banzan's knee buckles as he tries to stand up. Beg pounces. Low drop kick to the injured knee. The ankle lock, but Banzan has nowhere to go. Is he going to tap? Is Beg going to be the new OSW champion? Of course he's not. Not quite yet, anyway. Instead of tapping, Banzan grabs Beg by the scruff of his neck and forces him away. He's heavily limping, favoring his left foot, trying not to put any pressure on it. Beg manages to scramble quickly to his feet, but the injured mountain is waiting. The crane kick! Karate Kid style, Mr. Miyagi would be proud. Beg lifts up off the ground and soars into the turnbuckle. Banzan doesn't attack. He goes into mountain form. Hell yeah. Beg charges in with a flurry of strikes. Each one lands squarely but has no effect. The mountain doesn't even flinch. Beg smirks as he exits the ring, grabbing a steel chair from ringside. Steel chair to the skull of Banzan, but the mountain doesn't even move. He simply sits down, crosses his legs. Another steel chair shot with no effect. A purple haze begins to form around Banzan. An energy Beg knows what must be done. He must break the big man's concentration. Nipple grabble. Beg twists the giant nipples for all he's worth. Banzan's energy fades. I don't know how to react to that. The pyramid scheme, though. Banzan never saw it coming. He tries to escape, he powers out, but Beg swings his body round and changes the hold into the financial crisis. Again, the hand hovers. Is this it? Is this it? The mountain taps out. Banzan is tapped. The mountain proves not to be indestructible. Beg is the champion. Beg is the champion. He won. No falsies. It's over. Beg won. Congratulations. Have that cigarette now. Congratulations, Alex. The very first OSW World Champion has reclaimed the belt. Very well deserved, indeed. If you're getting invaded, it's not right now, because the next segment is Red Wing, and he is not the invasion holder. This segment is entitled No Mercy, featuring Red Wing. Congratulations once again to Alex, handler of Berkshire Ellis and Green, who defeated the Indestructible Mountain. Nice. But he gets Darby Sorrow next week. Red Wing has become increasingly deranged over the past month. His actions, the way he speaks, it's all off. When we locate him, he's pacing the room wearing only his Red Wing mask with only a pair of shorts besides from it. Okay, find him, kill him, make him suffer. That's what they want from me. That's what everyone wants. The hero must fall. The hero must fall. He's been pacing for hours. His hands are bloody, his fingers raw. On the wall, scratched into it with his own fingernails, are two words that say no mercy. There's a noise in the background, playing in the other room, somewhat distant and faint. He walks towards it. He stops by the VCR. And it's another tape, a more revealing tape. He hits play. He was young and foolish, naive. They promised him fame and fortune if he did it. They told him they'd make him the biggest movie star in the world. It was all part of his rise to prominence. To play a bad guy, you have to be a bad guy. And Luke Storm would do anything to be famous. Cut. Red Wing. Ooh, did Luke Storm take out Red Wing's family? Red Wing's eyes widen within the mask. The look of insanity somehow grew. As the rage boils within and his chest puffs in and out as quickly as it can, we back away. He says, I'll show him a bad guy. Luke Storm killed Red Wing's family. Surely he didn't. There's gonna be hell to pay. Well, I don't know about that. Luke Storm, a murderer? That'd be interesting. But Red Wing's coming after him no matter what. Looks like we're gonna do it again, Chris. Ooh, an interesting set of people. In the next segment entitled The Day Shall Come, with Scrimshaw, the Judge, Banzan, and Black Veil. After Ring King, the Judge, two places at once. On the shores of a nearby city stands the armored man, once again face to face with Scrimshaw. And at the same time, he is thousands of miles away at the monastery, a glint in his eyes as he speaks with Banzan. Both men are stoically silent as the Judge approaches them, his words almost identical with each man as he speaks. The day will come. Scrimshaw snarls at the Judge, his hand on his flintlock as he stares the rival down. Banzan's monks, I haven't said that word correctly today, surround the terrifying visage, but the monk holds his hand up, stopping them from assaulting him. In the near future there will be a man to oppose you. I have judged you and after much discretion believe you are the key to balancing the world. You must simply listen to me. Scrimshaw gives the Judge the time of his day. Banzan snarls, going to question him, but the Judge interrupts, his voice booming. And he says, you have someone who will try to demolish you along the way. Go forward, end him. And when you do, you will be granted a great artifact that will redeem you of your sins. Both of them say, what must I do? Who is my enemy? He says, amass an army, go forth and await my instruction. The Judge says, ooh, he's sending them after each other. They nod their heads as the Judge disappears. In an undisclosed location, he appears out of the cloud of purple smoke with the obsidian sphere. He's sending Banzan and Scrimshaw after each other. Hot damn. Okay. That should be interesting. Curious to see how Black Veil will factor in. Ooh, is this it? This is it. The main event. Who's ready? Seesaw, Luke Storm. Good luck, Joe. Let's see what happens. Who's ready for the main event? The Ring King. Who will join? Mike Lane, King Royal, Lee Crowley, and Edgar Nevermore as King Ring King of OSW. Okay. Should be fun. These two had a little bit of a feud, I believe, for Invasion. Seesaw went after Luke Storm's daughter. He didn't like that. It's good to see them facing off once again for the big prize. All right, let's go. The nightmare that was once over begins again. Luke vanquished Seesaw once before, but tonight, it isn't personal. It's for the crown. As they stand in the middle of the ring, the atmosphere skyrockets. Cheers and jeers from all corners of the slaughterhouse. They haven't chosen a side, but one thing is for sure, they want to see a bloodbath. They circle. Luke is cautious. He remembers fighting Seesaw in the absolute war he had to win. Seesaw smells the fear of Luke Storm. He rushes forward. He grabs Storm abruptly by the throat, drives him into the corner. Luke tries to use his legs to escape, drives his knees into the midsection of his opponent, who in turn throws him across the ring like a rag doll. Luke bounces. He rolls to a kneel. He takes his sunglasses off. It's serious now. Mr. Make-Believe comes again. He goes for a knee that Storm dodges. He rolls him up, but Seesaw rolls through. They stare at each other, then rush to lock up. They toss and turn. Seesaw puts him up into a side swat slam. He doesn't cover. He goes for mounted punches, bouncing Luke's head off the canvas, rattling his brains for good measure. He pulls the perfect Storm up. Headbutt! Headbutt! Storm is on Dream Street. He stumbles backwards after receiving the shots, falling into the ropes. Seesaw chases, bouncing him immediately across the ring with such venom that Luke, flies over the top rope, crashes down off the ring apron, and lands on the outside with a thud. They're taking it hardcore. Luke slowly pulls himself up. Thunderous clothesline from Seesaw. It almost took his head off. Mr. Make-Believe laughs sadistically, stomps away until he decides enough is enough. He's got a steel chair, though. Storm won't be able to handle much more. He puts the chair on the ring apron. He's got Storm back to his feet, head first into the steel chair on the apron. 3 more times. Storm is busted wide open. He's got him on the ring apron, picks him up. The teeter-totter on the steel chair on the ring apron. Damn it. Luke Storm slams on his back. He bounces off and hits the floor. He's got to be dead. There's a sound of a crunch as he lands on the floor. Seesaw drops down, chuckles to himself, throws Storm back in the ring and makes the cover. This has to be it. 1, 2, 3. No, shoulder up. Luke Storm gets his shoulder up. Seesaw can't believe it. His eye starts twitching. He's gonna lose it. He slides to the outside. He pulls out all kinds of weapons. Chairs, ladders, tables. Actually, no ladders. Chairs, tables, thumbtacks, fire extinguisher, and a crowbar. Shout out to Lee Crowley. We all do remember what happened the last time a crowbar was used in the Ring King finale, don't we? Seesaw slides back into the ring to meet Storm as he gets up onto all fours. He drops a double axe handle across his back. He gets back up. Another axe handle. The fans are starting to choose their sides. They're chanting, "The perfect Storm! The perfect Storm!" Clap, 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 clap. Storm won't stay down. He's getting back up. Seesaw is infuriated. He's got the tacks. He spreads them across the ring. He's going to make Luke Storm suffer. What's he planning? He's got the table right in the middle of the ring, right over the thumbtacks. Seesaw grabs Luke. Woody's roundup, but Storm spins out. Kick to the gut. Snap suplex onto the thumbtacks. Seesaw sits up, his back arched in agony. Luke Storm didn't escape unscathed. He makes a cover. 1, 2, 3. No! Seesaw kicks out. Both men get back to their feet. They're digging thumbtacks out as the referee begins kicking them away. There's still a whole lot under the table that hasn't been used, and the odd one laying in the ring. Storm, the lightning strike. But it only stumbles Seesaw. Another one. The second lightning strike. Storm makes another cover. 1, 2. Will he put him down? No. The kick out right at 3. Seesaw's not going down that easy. Luke Storm is busted wide open, blood drying on his face in a crimson mask. He looks back at Seesaw, who's already stirring. He's taken so much punishment already. The fans are behind him. They're chanting, "The perfect Storm. It's the making of a new hero." Luke demands something from the ref. He's got his sunglasses. He puts them on. He smiles. The fans go wild. Seesaw is back up while he's over there trying to gloat. He nails the teeter-totter, the Death Valley driver, right through the table, right onto the thumbtacks. Oh my God, now they're chanting, "You sick fuck. You sick fuck. You sick fuck." The fans show their disapproval. Seesaw is crazed. Storm is out on his belly, thumbtacks on his face. He's writhing in agony, but too afraid to move. Seesaw grabs his arms. The stretch, Armstrong. He's got his boot on the neck of Luke Storm as he wrenches back on his arms. I don't like it. Storm is he needs to submit, just give up. He's screaming, but he won't quit. Seesaw is bellowing. But Seesaw's smile turns to a frown. Despite the thumbtacks on his face, despite the stretch Armstrong, he won't quit. Mr. Make-Believe stomps Luke's face down on the thumbtacks. He rolls him over. Storm's thumbtacks in his cheek and forehead. If it weren't for his glasses, they'd be in his eyes. He goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Is that it? We have a Ring King winner. Wait, no, we don't. Kick out. What? Luke Storm kicked out. Seesaw. He clutches at his head in absolute horror. The fans are on their feet. Can Luke Storm best Seesaw once more? Mr. Make-Believe has the crowbar, and he says, "Quit. Give up, or you'll never see your daughter again." Oh, he went there. The crowd boos. There's a hero and there's a villain, but only one will become king. Something changes inside of Luke Storm. Seesaw turns around. When he turns back, the perfect fucking storm, brutalized lightning strike. Seesaw stumbles forward. The downpour, the codebreaker. Storm isn't done. He goes up to the top, and he nails Thunder, the moonsault. He calls that the perfect storm. The kill it with fire move. And he covers 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's done it. Luke Storm has overcome the beating of a lifetime to become Ring King 2019. He delivered on the biggest night of his career. A new king, the Storm King. All hail. Damn it. Luke gets back to his feet. His hand is raised. What a match. Luke Storm is your Ring King, and he will be crowned on Slaughterhouse 189. Look at that son of a bitch right there. Damn it. Yes. Oh, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Great work, Joe. I loved your role play. Whew. What a match. Somehow, some way, won them all. Powerade to that. Whew. All right. I don't smoke, but I could probably use a cigarette. Good thing I took care of the, I don't even know. We're not even done. The show's not over. Look at that badass crown. Look at the face of Luke Storm. Thumbtacks, blood, but he looks pissed off. It's time. What do we have next? Always an honor to go against you, Joe. Hopefully Seesaw and Storm will get another round down the line. Woo! All right, guys. All right, let's finish this sucker off. Ooh, we're back with Darby Sorrow in a segment entitled Red 2. We're back with red. It's red everywhere, a blood-soaked floor, pulled everywhere within eyeshot, As the camera slowly rises, we stop to see Darby Sorrow sat covered in blood himself. He's pulled his knees up to his chest. In his hand is a bloody scalpel, and he's not finished. Dr. Wells, is dead. His throat cut on the floor beside him. He's about to leave, but the lights go out. In the pitch black, Sorrow doesn't move, and he says, a voice says, "You're coming to look for me, aren't you?" The altered voice booms from inside the room. Sorrow says, "You're damn right I am. And you know hiding in the shadows won't help you. You need me. So stop being a coward and reveal yourself." There was a pause, and he says, "You're right, I do need you. There was always going to be a time when I stepped out from behind the screen and took care of business myself. I know what you want, but what I don't know is why you want it," the gravedigger questions. "Stephen said it could cure my immortality. Why would that be of use to anyone else?" The lights come back on. A flash. Abrupt and terrible. Darby Sorrow is grabbed by the throat. He's rammed into the nearest wall with force he can't breathe. And there he sees his tormentor, Sigil. And he says, "Why I need it is of no concern to you, but I will collect it. That, dear boy, is what I do." Sigil turns his head around 360 degrees. He snaps his neck. Darby is down. Sigil says, "Worlds beyond words. Or worlds beyond worlds. Every path has been walked before, and every path shall be walked once more. I'll be seeing you at Red Snow, Darby Sorrow." Oh, snap. Sorrow and Sigil. There it is. Sigil is the man who's been after Sorrow. Well, hot damn. And the Butcher presumably closes us out in the last stop, 10 hours later. Ring King and Long wrapped up. By the time we arrive in the dead of night outside a large building, white vans everywhere parked up and down the street. Orderlies in white uniforms rush down the steps of the building towards the vans. There must be over 100 of them in unison and working together. They approach individual vehicles and units, teams of 3, and begin their work. Before you know it, they're visibly dragging people, each of them bound in a straitjacket, towards the stairs. It becomes apparent where we are. The asylum. Luke Storm, Seesaw, Darby Sorrow even. The whole old school wrestling roster is here. They're dragged into the asylum, one by orderlies. And at the top of the steps is none other than the Butcher and the Warden. "How long do you want me to keep them for?" he asked the Butcher. And he says, "Put them on lockdown for a week or 2. I'll call you when it's safe to release them. I'll tell their families they're away on business." The Warden says, "You know that while I have them, I have to put them through their paces. It just wouldn't be my asylum if there wasn't some patient-on-patient violence." The chairman looks at him with a smile of his own, in agreement. And he says, "I must warn you, though, one of these men will perish before I release them unto you. Call it the cost of doing such extraordinary business." Ooh, the Butcher says, "Do I need to know why that is?" The Warden shakes his head no. But the Butcher says, "Very well. Not Darby Sorrow. I need him." Cut. We're gonna lose somebody. That is it. Lockdown is coming right up. And somebody is gonna die. Damn. Well, somebody other than Darby Sorrow is gonna die. Well, hot damn. Sigil is the man behind this whole thing. So maybe I was right. Maybe that is the same Red Skull thing. Who knows? We'll find out. Hell yeah. Yes. Kill off Beg. Do it. Don't even tell him. Oh, man. Someone will need a new character next week, and they won't know it until it happens. He apologizes in advance. Well, damn it. Don't suck, guys. Don't suck. That's a pretty badass way to do it, though. Well, damn, guys. That show flew by. What a hell of a show. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this. We had a pretty good turnout. I know we've had just seen some people who maybe lurked. Red Snow's going to be fun. And hell yeah, man. We're going to be cranking forward, lockdown next week, and then the road to Red Snow. And we'll be live again for Red Snow as always as we close off Season 1 of Volume 2. And that'll be fun. Glad to see everybody out here. Looks like everything ran pretty smoothly tonight. But you guys probably will have plenty to talk about in the Discord and all of that. But if we're done, then we'll be done. And we'll leave this up for just a few minutes while I get everything shut off. But I thank you guys for coming out. Had a good time, and we'll do this again for Red Snow.